a student at Santa Clara will feel valued and inspired, I would say. We will do everything in our power to challenge them and foster a community here whereby they can feel welcome initially and thrive ultimately.
The education that students get here is an education that touches both the heart and the mind. It gives them a moral compass that will serve them for a lifetime.
I could contribute to what was happening in class, what was happening in my community, and I just felt that I could take a deep breath and feel that I belonged here.
One of the things I like doing is taking off of Palo Alto and just heading out to the coast over the Santa Cruz Mountains and kind of flying down to Santa Cruz and Monterey, right along the coastline. The shoreline is really beautiful. I just like the feeling of being free and being up in the sky where you're just kind of get away from everything else and get a whole different perspective on the world, seeing everything from a bird's eye view. My dad and I came out here to look at several schools. We went to Stanford, Berkeley, Santa Cruz, and then we stopped by Santa Clara, and while we were walking around there was a summer law class, and we stopped and watched the class for a second. Both my dad and I were both fascinated just by the style of teaching, and by the time I sent the applications in, Santa Clara was right up there with Stanford. They were kind of competing for my first choice.
I love to get my heartbeat going and just kind of go and play with some other guys, and it's a good way to meet people and make friends in a different venue than something scholarly. It's difficult to move away from home, and I'm really close to my family back in Boise, Idaho. I talk to my mother every day, and it's tough on holidays and on other things and birthdays to be away. But the one thing that's really nice about here at Santa Clara is, and especially during the freshman year, is they promote a strong community here that creates a new family.
What I'm really hoping for students is that they flourish humanly, intellectually, morally, spiritually, and that they actually have really good, joyful, productive lives. Emotionally rich lives.
I really think that just attending this university has broadened my perspective to a lot of things.
There were 3 restaurants.
What were the people like?
I work with immigrants who are learning English, and that's such a rewarding and enriching experience. Being able to apply what you're learning in the classroom and take it outside and work within the community, I think just adds another dimension to what your college experience is. One of the things that I did over the past summer was actually go abroad, and I spent 2 months traveling through India, Thailand, and Japan, and had an absolute blast and was really able to tailor what I was interested in and work it into the curriculum here at Santa Clara.
I taught at a large private institution back east. It was very intellectually stimulating, but what I saw was the faculty were more concerned about their own professional careers and not really concerned about the education of their students.
Going to a larger university, yeah, you might have more classes and more options there than you might have at Santa Clara, but you don't get the direction and the focus that you get at a smaller school. The average class size here is 25 students. You're going to have a lot more teacher interaction than you might have in a lecture hall.
I think the particular size of Santa Clara really does foster a community feel. Secondly, I think the residential learning communities, what we call RLCs, puts freshmen in learning communities, right? And the idea is the people that they live with, they are also going to classes with.
One thing that I find really nice and really amazing about the RLC program here is it gives you something to talk about initially with people that you've never met in your life.
The first day I moved in, there was 2 sophomores across the hall. They came and introduced themselves to me, and we bonded very quickly, and I think that was a huge part of it, that it's pretty easy to make friends and find people that have similar interests.
I learned to rely on those relationships that I built with my professors and my classmates about when I needed help or when they needed help. I knew that I could always go to them in a pinch and that they'd be there for me.
I've never had a time where even outside of office hours that are set up where I couldn't just ask them questions, and I've been able to do that with multiple professors here.
We look to make our students question everything. We want them to dig deep. And what that means is that, oh yeah, it's great in the classroom and it's great when they're here as a college student for 4 years, but when they get out of Santa Clara, wherever they go and whatever they do, they're going to be the ones who are the leaders, because they're the ones who are going to be looking for the creative solutions.
Coming from being the #1 player to a time where I was injured and had to spend a lot of time on the bench watching others play, I learned a great lesson about how every single person can contribute, whether they're on the field or on the sideline. I find that Santa Clara gave me the opportunity to see people from that perspective and to appreciate them for the good things that they have to contribute. I think that helped me in my education. I know that helped me on the soccer field, and it's helped me be a better leader for my job as a professional athlete.
Kids nowadays don't need to go into a lockstep and follow perhaps just in their parents' pattern or stick to a confined geography. Nowadays, kids study curricula before they apply. In Molly's case, she liked what the school had to offer. She liked the what was perceived to be the quality of the education. She liked the students that she was in contact with and how they shared their college experience. So never was it a concern that New England has a better academic environment than the West. We dropped her off. She never looked back, and I don't think we heard from her for a month. She had all these immersion programs. She was off on every possible retreat. She was skiing at Tahoe in the winter. She was going to the beach at Santa Cruz in the spring. It's a 24/7 experience for her.
There's a tremendous advantage to being in the Silicon Valley when you're going to school, and Santa Clara has a good reputation around the area with a lot of the companies. Apple hires a lot of Santa Clara. NASA Ames, which is about 15 minutes away where I work, hires a lot of students. Google will do it. Yahoo will do it. Just about any company that you can imagine within the field. IBM, Hewlett-Packard, Intel. There's just a lot of opportunities around here for you to go and just kind of scope out.
Being right at the heart of the Bay Area, we've got San Francisco right up the train line, and places right in the area too. Right down the street, HP Pavilion, you can see concerts, and we also have lots of stuff going on campus all the time. You don't ever have to worry about being bored at Santa Clara.
Multicultural Center. It's one of my favorite places on campus. As a whole, the Multicultural Center puts on something called Global Village, and it's a day-long fiesta, and we shut off the entire street right over here and just bring in cultural food, cultural performers, cultural vendors, and everyone, gets to come out and really partake in this experience.
At home and in Mexican culture, one lives for one's family, for one's community. And so my efforts as a professor is to try to help other colleagues of mine transform the curriculum to reflect the diversity that exists in our student body.
In today's business world, morals and ethics are very important, and so that was something that I wanted to incorporate into my education, especially since I was going into business. Even though I'm not Catholic, and I didn't go to Catholic high school. They really foster a community where you can learn all those things and have them become part of you as a person.
They encounter a kind of humanity here which has been informed by the Jesuit tradition that is really deeply compelling and is an invitation to greater and greater life. And if we can do that, that's what we're all about.
The Jesuit education encourages thinking way outside the box. And Molly feels that there's no dogma, no rigor that is requiring her to think any one way. She says she's challenged to explore all options and eventually end up with a decision that's all her own.
It's really important that we have critical skills to observe the world, to truly see it, to really hear it, to really taste it and sense it, and then to respond to it. And I think that the arts allow us to do this. Because we have a fine arts requirement, it allows the beginner to enter into any course, music, dance, theater, arts, and maybe find out that they had some creativity in an area that they really hadn't ever noticed before. And the courses give people a chance to really discover something new about themselves. I rarely see a student who is unchanged by that experience.
My children have what seems to be the foundation of being open to considering vast new options that haven't been there in the first 18 years of their life.
I think by the end of my 4 years, I'll have an education that is equivalent to like an Ivy League school or Stanford or any of those. They produce really well-rounded people here. They can go into the world and make a difference and give back to society.
I really am not ready to leave Santa Clara yet, and that's not because I don't feel that I'm well prepared to leave Santa Clara. That's just because there's still so many more things that I want to do while I'm here. You know, that's kind of what I feel that I'm missing out on, and just part of that's just really wanting to try everything.
They leave here with an intellectual intensity and seriousness. They leave here with a moral purpose that they did not have when they came here at 18 years old. And I think that really is the transformation.